Now, polygamy, plural marriage. You've heard the stories about men, in Utah mostly, who have, say, 10 wives. So let me ask you, how many of you think that is a bad thing and a threat to traditional marriage? So, libertarian audience, some of the people don't think that. But the general opinion on polygamy is that it's about men getting more sex and that it's morally wrong and a threat to marriage. And it's what some of my colleagues here at Fox say.
I think that the crux of our foundation of our culture depends on
two but not
people.
three.
Yes.
Okay.
Polygamy often comes up when gay marriage is debated, and Bill O'Reilly points out that if marriage is redefined as a contract between consenting adults,
change the law to include the polygamy people then.
And that would be absolutely ridiculous if that happened.
Why?
Because this is a slippery slope. The idea that we even have a name for this.
And Gretchen Carlson of Fox and Friends joins us now, along with Mark Henke, who calls himself a polygamy advocate. So, Gretchen, it's consenting adults. What's the problem?
Right. I think in that O'Reilly clip, we were talking specifically about this new trend of a triad. And they wanted to be recognized as a marriage. For me, I'm of the belief, do what you want inside the parameters of your own home. But I don't necessarily favor the idea of calling 3 or 4 or 5 people together a marriage. A marriage, to me, is a union of 2 people.
All right, so you're entitled to your opinion. Mark Henkel, and I think I mispronounced your name. What's wrong with what she says? Why just don't be married, but have many wives?
Well, she has the freedom to believe as she believes. Absolutely, and that's the beauty of this wonderful, great country that we have. To impose that belief, however, and redefine the definition of marriage that anthropologically and biblically has always included polygamy is actually the first form of redefinition to use big government to redefine marriage for one man, one woman.
But how is big government playing a role here?
Because it is licensing, defining, and controlling the definition of marriage, as opposed to letting what freely consenting adults choose to contract with each other.
And see, that's my concern about government becoming involved in this and redefining the term of what marriage is. Because, as I said on the O'Reilly factor, it's a slippery slope to me. So then what is next after that we call marriage? And that will come into play in society when I try and teach my children. It's just become so confusing to teach so many different things.
But the truth is, anti-polygamy is the real slippery slope that led to same-sex marriage. If government wasn't involved redefining marriage to exclude polygamy in the first place, and there wasn't the licensing, defining, and controlling of marriage by big government anyway, then the homosexuals pursuing same-sex marriage wouldn't even be pursuing any legal construct, because it wouldn't matter what consenting adults contract with each other.
You make an interesting point about Hugh Hefner.
Yes, well, absolutely. Here we are in a society where we can have a show with Hugh Hefner has a show with 3 live-in girlfriends, and that's all super buzz in Hollywood, and everybody loves it. But if he was to marry them, suddenly he's a criminal. That's insane.
Well, okay, I'll just go on the record as saying I don't love that show, okay? Whether or not they're married, I don't want my kids watching that show.
Well, I agree. That's
and that's what I care about. I'm a mom now, okay? So I care about what society my kids are going to grow up in. They're 6 and 5 now.
Abuse. When I see the headlines about polygamy, I see headlines about cults and sexual abuse. It sounds abusive to women. Well, and by the way, you're not admitting being a polygamist, and in your state it would be illegal if you were. So you just say it should be allowed.
Well,
all right, but
it's a purported clause.
Okay.
It's the state of Maine and many states have a law that is written that if a married man was to marry another or to purport to marry, so the mere the mere act of a married man calling a girlfriend a wife, that free speech act itself, the free speech, is a crime.
In our audience today are 2 polygamists, 2 women who share a husband, and you've asked us not to give your names because polygamy is illegal in America. You say this should be legal?
We don't try to take a stand of making it legal. I don't care about the legalities. What I'm actually looking for is...
But aren't you worried about being arrested?
Well, decriminalization would be the thing. I don't care as far as a lot of the legalities go, insurance and, licensing like you talked about. I don't care about those things and those kinds of tax benefits and whatever. What we're looking for is decriminalization. basically.
What about the idea that this is for men to have more sex? And aren't you jealous of your sister wife? And
well, if it was about that, like Hugh Hefner, you know, he could have got a girlfriend. He could have chosen not to get married at all. And there's plenty of opportunities for a person to find sex that wouldn't have to take care of the responsibility of building relationships with a wife, taking care of children, being a father.
Gretchen, I give you the last word.
I just say that that's fine if you want to live that lifestyle, but I worry that what you're saying actually most of the polygamists don't agree with, that they would want the tax benefits and that the rest of us in society would end up paying for this. And what else? What else would follow this coming down the road? 5 people living together? People marrying not even people? I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous.
We're talking consenting adults here. If you get to animals, they're not.
Well, I don't know.
Well, do we have to Google the definition of consenting adult? I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
Thank you, Gretchen Carlson, Mark Henkel, and you polygamists who came all the way here from Utah in the storm. Next, who owns your body? You or the state?